Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it. Hey, today I wanted to talk to you about some of the outside of the box thinking that we have to do in order to get to our main goal. And our main goal, right, is getting service connected at the appropriate rating. It's two goals, really, right? Most people always, who talk about this stuff, leave out that second piece, right? They just focus on service connection, which is great, right? I mean, you have to get that. But getting it at the appropriate rating is really important. But we hit some hurdles, us veterans. We hit some big hurdles when we are put into a certain circumstance. Sometimes our benefits from the VA turn against us and make it more difficult. And I'm going to explain that to you here and what we have to do, unfortunately, to circumvent it or get around it in order to get that appropriate decision as a service-connected condition and getting it at the right rating, right? So please hit the thumbs up for me, subscribe, share with a friend, all that good stuff. It helps me, helps the channel, and most importantly, it helps our brothers and sisters out there that don't have this information. So here's the thing. Now there's 15,000 different examples. There's tons of nuance in VA, and I'm going to kind of preface it with that, right? So obviously this is not one size fits all. There's 15,000, right, different examples I can give. I'm giving one. Maybe I might give two, I don't know. But let's start off with this one. Veteran goes to the VA, the VBA, right, files a claim for conditions, gets awarded those service connections, and assigned a rating. That rating is, let's say it's decent. You got a 50 or 60% rating with the VA, so you're feeling pretty good. You can get all your health care from the VA. You're really happy about that. You don't have any other outside health insurance, right? So for whatever reason, you work at an employer, they give you the option to say you don't need it because you have it from the VA, or you're self-employed and you're getting it from the VA, so you don't need to cover yourself, whatever, right? So for whatever reason, all of your medical care is now being handled by the VA, which is great. That's a great benefit that you get by being service connected. However, when it comes time for you, inevitably, to file that next claim, either because you missed a condition and you realized you should have filed for it, which many people do, right? So you missed a condition that is service connected that you didn't file. So now you need to file for that. Or a condition got worse, right? And you're filing for an increase. Or you have some secondaries that are popping their head up. No matter what you're doing, you're filing a new claim. Well, now you need to provide evidence just like before. And guess what? All of your medical care is being provided by the VA, which seems great. However, in some cases, especially if you are trying to develop a nexus or satisfy the need for the nexus with a VA for your condition, the VHA and the VBA, they don't talk very well together. And the VHA, the Veterans Healthcare Administration doctors, from what I've seen, now it's kind of a regional thing. Some areas are really, really bad, while other areas are not so bad with regard to the doctors helping you as the veteran. So you might need to get a Nexus letter. You might need to get a DBQ filled out. And in some areas, those VHA doctors will do that for you. In other areas, they're like, nope, won't do it, can't touch it, don't want to be a part of it. We don't do any of that. So it's really, really important for you to know if they will or if they won't. And if they won't, what's your recourse, right? You can't make them. You can't force their hand. But I will tell you that I have seen, and I'm one of them, I have veered away from the VA. So actually I've done both, right? So I have had the VA complete DBQ for me, a VHA, complete DBQs for me. And I've also left the VHA and went to a private doctor, a civilian doctor, and just paid out of pocket. I paid whatever it was, $250, and then maybe like another $125, right? So the first visit always cost more, and then the second visit isn't as much. So I could get the documentation that I needed from a doctor. Yeah, does it suck to pay out $350, $400? over the course of a 2-month period or a month period or what have you, yeah, that does suck. But I looked at it for myself as an investment into my VA claim, right? I'm gathering evidence, and this is a way that I had to do it. Now, you can, and I would suggest, try to get it from your medical provider first, right? Even if it's the VHA. Try to get it from your VA doctor first. See if you could get them to give it to you. Another thing would be go to a doctor's appointment where you're going to talk about your condition and take with you all of the information from the schedule of ratings. This is really, really important, okay? There's a few different things here that you want to accomplish with your medical doctor. You want to try to, in the event that you need a Nexus, okay, remember that a Nexus is the link between your condition, and it can be one of two things, right? So it can either be a link between your condition and your time in service, that window of opportunity is what I like to call it, right? So show me, basically, that your condition that you want to file a claim for is as a result of your service or caused by your service, or that it manifested during your service. Basically, it first started during your service. So migraine headaches would be a great example, right? You're not running to the doctor and dealing with migraines typically, right? Especially when you're 20-something years old. You're just popping Motrin and moving on and just try to push through it, and it sucks. And it's not until later on in life where they're just consistent, and you're like, maybe you see a video or you see a commercial on TV or something about medication for migraines, and you go, yeah, maybe I'll talk to my doctor. So migraines would be a great example of there's nothing really in your medical files from your military service, but sure enough, you had them when you were in the military. So now you need to establish that nexus. You need to prove it somehow, right? You have nothing in your medical file, so you need to work with your doctor to get them to write you a Nexus letter. You could work with your people that you know that knew you back when you were in, that could vouch for you having migraines, right? But the reality is that working with your doctor at the VA will either turn into the result of, yay, they're going to write it for you, or no, they're not going to. And if they don't, you might need to, especially in that situation, go to a civilian doctor and pay them out of pocket to treat you, see you, write the Nexus letter, all that good stuff. If the VA doctor writes it for you, great. You don't need to go to a civilian doctor. The DBQ piece, if the doctor doesn't want to do a DBQ for you at the VA, the VHA, if they don't want to do a DBQ for you, that's okay. What you really need to do is make sure that they put in your file all of the criteria that's in that schedule of ratings. Again, I've talked about schedule of ratings a million times. Print it out, take it with you, whatever portion of it meets you, right? If you meet all the criteria for a 30% rating and you don't meet the criteria for a 50, then you know you're a 30. Take that information, the criteria for the 30% rating, take that with you to your VA doctor and say, hey, my condition, blah, 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 and I just want to make sure that, all of this signs and symptoms and duration get put into my medical file. It's just really important that I document all of this. And make sure that they get it in there. You can also go to the, like the reception area and give it to them and have them tell them that you need to get that put into your medical file. As far as your signs and symptoms and durations and all that stuff's concerned, regardless of what condition it is, right? So find your condition in the schedule of ratings and go through it. Just very important information for you to make sure you get it in there. That will help you get the appropriate rating, which is really what the DBQ is trying to do, right? So what the DBQ does for you is it asks the questions that prompt the answers that would then be compared and contrasted to the schedule of ratings, so that way the VA rater can give you the appropriate rating. Now look, I know I've rambled a lot on this. The main point here, if you've hung on for 9 minutes and 40 seconds, is look, if the VA doctor's not working with you, go to an outside doctor. Work your VA doctor as much as you can, right? If they can't or won't do certain things like a Nexus letter, you might need to go outside to get one, and it might be worth it if you do. Also, if you can't get a DBQ, you don't necessarily need to go outside. Try to get that information that would have resulted from a DBQ put into your medical records. Then, when you go to your C&P exam, take that same information with you so you can relay it to the C&P examiner, all of the criteria that meet that 30% rating in that example, and then that will help you get the appropriate rating. So I hope that this made some sense. I was just kind of mulling over what happens when the VA VHA isn't helping you out. What do? Are you just stuck? No, you're not stuck. You could go to any doctor you want anywhere. The problem is that you have to pay out of pocket. So with that, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate you. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.